7 Sinister Disappearances Revealed, Hidden Cases of the Haunted and Terrifyingly UNEXPLAINED. In the seemingly idyllic town of Evergreen Heights, a chilling truth lurks beneath the surface, a dark web of mysterious vanishings that whispers through the streets. Welcome to the haunting world of Sarah, a single mother fighting to keep her children safe while grappling with the unnerving legends surrounding her suburban paradise. This place, alive with cheerful waves and laughter, hides well more than it reveals. Beneath that veneer of normalcy lies the unsettling truth that 7 families have inexplicably disappeared over the years. Stark tales circulate among the neighbors like wildfire, each story more terrifying than the last. One mother swears she heard cries in the night that went unanswered. Another said her husband returned home after 3 long days changed. And the heart-pounding tension builds as residents murmur about a lurking darkness, a sinister force that preys on the desperate and forlorn. When Sarah learns that Mr. Thompson, the beloved old man running the community center, has vanished without a trace, her heart sinks. Friendships fray, whispers grow louder, and mothers at the playground pull their children close, sending waves of unease rippling through her. What terror lies beneath those smiling faces now twisted with apprehension? Then one evening, a shadowy delivery driver appeared at her doorstep, eyes so dark and cryptic they felt like portals to a hell she couldn't see. "Keep your kids close," he warns, his voice a gravelly echo, "something evil's come to town." The chill that raked down her spine was almost unbearable. Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah sinks her heart and soul into Mr. Thompson's disappearance. She notices things: the rumbling whispers from the woods, flickering lights at the community center late into the night, the ominous tales of the curse of the lonesome. Generations have feared this malevolence, a shadow that finds and ensnares those families on the brink of despair. Before she can fully wrap her head around it all, panic sets in. At the community center, where she'd come to sign her kids up for summer activities, she spins around to discover that Liam and Mia are gone. The gasp from the crowd feels like a knife against her heart. Fractured faces of neighbors huddled together in manicured yards are suddenly strangers with narrowed eyes, as though she'd committed some unspeakable crime. She races, breathless with fear, her heart hammering against her ribs, but the familiar laughter of children feels eerie now. As laughter fades into somber stares, she knows she has stepped into a web thicker than she ever imagined. What if their disappearance stretches far beyond her understanding, a conspiracy that binds the very fabric of Evergreen Heights? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With every furtive glance exchanged, dread settles heavily in her stomach. As the sun dips below the horizon, shadows grow long and cues of impending doom seep into the air. She races towards the back of the community center, heart racing. A locked door behind wild ivy catches her eye, a door that hadn't existed before last night. When she hears a whisper, inviting yet chilling, she hesitates, hand hovering over the cold metal knob. What calls from beyond that door feels both familiar and terrifying, a siren's allure promising answers but threatening danger. At that moment, every instinct tells her she is at a crossroads. One path leads to truth, the other to darkness. As the last flicker of light fades, Sarah's next move could unravel everything or plunge her deeper into a nightmare. She stands on the precipice, unaware of the horrors that await her beyond that door. With a trembling hand, Sarah finally grips the cold knob, her breath caught in her throat. The sound of the lock clicking open echoes in her ears, a portentous omen of what waits behind this door. A rush of stale, musty air spills out as she pushes it open, darkness curling around her like a hungry predator. Inside, the room is dim, lined with peeling wallpaper and thick shadows that hide the corners. The glow from her phone creates a fragile circle of light, illuminating dust motes dancing like lost souls in the oppressive silence. She steps forward, barely breathing, the floor creaking beneath her weight. A chill runs down her spine as she catches sight of faded photos plastered unevenly across the walls. Each frame resembles a family that once thrived here. But as she leans closer, the unsettling truth gnaws at her. A strange emptiness haunts each image. Grinning faces seem to warp into grotesque masks, eyes wide with terror that transcends time. Her heart pounds harder, urging her to flee, but a morbid curiosity keeps her rooted in place. Suddenly, she spots something half hidden behind a thick drape. Pulling it aside, a small, dust-covered box reveals itself, a music box, tarnished and old. Its delicate craftsmanship stands in stark contrast to the dread wrapping around her. Gingerly, she winds the key. A soft, haunting melody spills forth, but instead of comfort, the sound sends shivers cascading down her arms. The air grows heavy, thick with echoes of laughter that feel abruptly wrong. Sarah's heart races. The music, it's familiar, a tune that was once a favorite of Liam's. She grits her teeth, battling back the suffocating fear. As the melody swells, shadows begin to shift, undulating along the walls like something alive. Then silence blanketed her, a void filled with nothingness. Just as her pulse quiets, a soft, unmistakable giggle dances through the darkness, and her blood runs cold. "Mommy?" It's Mia. Every protective instinct surges within her. "Mia!" She cries out, voice cracking, desperation lacing every syllable. The music stops abruptly like a story left unfinished. Just then, she hears a distinct rustle from the corner, and her heart lodges in her throat. A figure emerges from the darkness, narrow, warped, cloaked in an all-consuming shadow. "Leave now," it hisses, the voice a twisted echo of her own fears. Panic courses through her veins as pungent memories flood back, the stories of those lost in Evergreen, tales of families trapped between worlds. The creature steps closer, distinctly humanoid yet grotesque, eyes sunken and hunger evident in its gaze. "Stay, join us," the words scrape against her consciousness like claws. Helpers turned hunters, whispers returning to bark. She feels the room closing in, air thickening as dread fills every corner. Sarah stumbles back, crashing into the box. Its soft music resonates, eerily beckoning, and the figure lunges. Everything within her screams to escape, to find her children and break this cursed cycle. But the door slams shut behind her, sealing her fate. And as shadows close in, all she can do is scream, what happened to those who vanished before her? Will she be the next in this twisted tale? The music plays on. The shadows throb, pulsing like a heartbeat. Sarah's scream disintegrates into the dark, swallowed by an unending silence. The air thickens, a viscous fog of terror clinging to her skin. She can't breathe, no, she can't think. Each frantic beat of her heart drowns out the only sound that lingers, the mournful tune of the music box. In an instinctive, desperate act, she fumbles for the door, her fingers shaking as they trace the cold wood. But it's solid, unwavering. A prison made of age and something darker. The whispers grow louder now, swirling around her, a cacophony of dread. "Stay with us," they chant. She spins around, pulse racing. Her phone's weak light reveals the figure, gliding closer, revealing its hunched back and elongated limbs. Its face, twisted beyond recognition, a distorted mockery of human features. Teeth like jagged shards of glass glisten as it draws nearer, hunger etched into its visage. "Mommy!" Mia's voice echoes again, piercing through the haze of terror. Sarah chokes back a sob, her baby. She has to find her. With every ounce of strength, she forces her feet to obey, backing away from the creature until her back thuds against the wall. The music box's melody continues, an eerie lullaby keeping time with her mounting panic. "Mia!" She cries again, voice hoarse and frantic. Each scream feels like it pulls her further into the jaws of this nightmare. "Where are you?" Suddenly, a dark shape emerges from the far corner. It's small, hunched and trembling, yet undeniably familiar. Relief and terror collide in her chest. "Mia!" Sarah's heart races, yet uncertainty grips her. It can't be, could it? Her child's face appears, illuminated by the phone's glow. But something's wrong. Mia's eyes are vacant, a glaze of glassy nothingness reflecting back at Sarah. The girl's mouth curls into a slight smile, but it feels cold, unnatural. "Mommy. Come play." Mia beckons, her voice not entirely her own. It's tinged with that same hungry song. "No. No, no." Panic rises again, drowning rationality. Sarah shoves aside the creeping dread as she lunges toward her, arms outstretched. "Mia, come to me." But the small figure skips closer to the dark figure, giggling, the sound elastic and wrong. "Join us, it's so much fun." The room shifts again, the shadows deepen, becoming tangible fingers reaching out to strangle hope. Sarah's breath catches, terror overwhelming her senses. This isn't a room anymore, it's a chasm dragging her deeper into despair. She needs to escape, and yet how? "Mia!" She screams again, desperation spilling into her voice. The engulfing darkness pulses with something ancient and cruel. "Stay," the creature whispers, now impossibly close. It extends one emaciated hand towards her, talons gleaming under the faint light. "Join us." Sarah's pulse quickens. This is it, the moment of truth. She can't lose Mia, but she can't surrender herself either. Time stretches, taut and trembling, the air thick with malevolence. What choice does she have? The music swells to a fevered pitch, drowning out reason. With a fierce shout, she pushes away from the wall, charging toward her daughter. Will she reunite with Mia, or will the shadows claim them both forever? Just as she lunges, the music abruptly halts, leaving silence that rings in her ears. Sarah's world tilts. Then, everything shifts. Behind her, the door bursts open, a blinding beam of light slicing through the darkness. Outside, a pair of figures enter, two silhouettes framed against the night, voices calling out in frantic worry. "Mia! Sarah! Where are you?" The room quakes with uncertainty, as the shadowy figure screams, "No!" The darkness lunges, and in that fleeting moment of distraction, Sarah's decision is made: either she saves Mia or forever remains trapped in this haunted cycle, clinging to a hope that might be as hollow as those haunting photographs. As shadows converge, Sarah lunges forth into the thin sliver of light. What will happen next? Is this salvation or a trap? The music box begins to play again, hauntingly sweet, and echoes the words that slip from her lips: "Please, no." As Sarah bursts into the light, a jolt of hope mingles with the gnawing dread. She feels warmth wash over her, the shadows recede into the corners, and a single breath of fresh air fills her lungs. But it's a whisper of freedom, it's not without its price. "Mia!" She screams, her voice breaking. She reaches for her daughter, heart pounding, pleading eyes searching for any hint of recognition amid the confusion. But the shrouded figure that looms behind her casts a long shadow over that light, hunger still glistening in its grotesque eyes. The silhouettes of the newcomers, two men, frantic and scanning the room, are a fleeting relief. They shout again, their voices distorted by the fear that thickens the air. "Where are you? Help me. She's here. Please." Sarah's words tumble out as her voice tightens with urgency, but the laughter echoes around her, a taunting reminder she's not entirely free. She spins back for a moment, fear curling in her gut as she glances over her shoulder. The clawed figure stands unmoving, still grinning, the cavernous space swallowing its features back into the darkness. It watches, and what should have felt like safety now morphs into an unsettling tension. The music box continues to play, soft yet insistent, wrapping itself around her mind like a sinister embrace. "Over here." One of the men calls, flinging his arm out toward Sarah. She stumbles in their direction, the moment stretched like taunt. As she reaches them, she locks eyes with the taller figure, a man with disheveled hair, eyes wide with panic, darting into the room looking for something, someone. "Mia! Where's Mia?" "Right there." Sarah's words falter as she turns, revealing where she last saw her daughter. But the corner is empty. The shadows shift like a breath upon the wind, stealing away what remains of her reality. No. No. She was just here. Panic ramps up again, her feet sliding across the wooden floor as she scans every inch of the room. But the air is stagnant now, the warmth extinguished. The two men close in, baffled looks exchanged, unable to grasp the enormity of what's plaguing them. Mia. She cries again, voice breaking sharply. Mia. The music box churns out its lullaby, echoing reminders of sweet times, laughter, a girl who once twirled and danced. The sound is now splintered, warped, dripping with a chilling undertone, as though it knows secrets that Sarah is yet to uncover. One of the men, desperate and frustrated, shouts, "We have to go, Sarah. We can't stay here." His voice commands, yet it feels like betrayal, like leaving Mia behind, her worst fear solidifying in that command. No. I can't. But before she can finish, the figure stirs again, emerging from the darkness with that unmistakable hunger. Join us, it whispers, and its voice ripples through the air like a cold breeze in summer, laced with temptation. Run. The other man orders, but the shadows begin coiling again, refusing to let them leave. Tendrils of darkness snake around their feet, tugging insistently. Sarah's heart races, the instinctual need to flee battling against the primal urge to save Mia, still somewhere in this nightmare. Mia. Where are you? Her voice shatters, echoing down the endless corridor of despair. The shadows writhe, shadows that pulse and breathe, wrapping tighter with every frantic moment. I can hear her. The younger man suddenly gasps, looking into the void. With narrowed eyes, he turns to the darkness, drawn in by an unseen thread. It's coming from there. No. You don't understand. Sarah shrieks. You can't go near it. That's not her. But already he is stepping closer to the edge of the light, reaching ahead, arms outstretched like a moth drawn to a flame. Clamor swells. Laughter spirals, darkness howls, Sarah's heart sinks. Mia. Is it too late? The room begins to twist again, a cruel echo of laughter spiraling into the air, mingling with the frightened breaths of the two strangers. And then the laughter stops. A chilling silence envelopes them, leaving only the relentless ticking of the music box ringing in the confines of her mind. In that small window of void where nothing exists, a knife of realization stabs deep as the walls tremble. You've always been here, she whispers, the dread pooling in her gut, but what had she unknowingly awakened? As the shadows lunge forward, a thought grips her, there's no escaping it. Nothing can safely retrieve what's been taken. Will she surrender her humanity for Mia? The darkness waits patiently, ready to swallow another whole. Join us, it beckons again, more vivid than before, as if it already knows her true intentions. With the music winding down to an unbearable crescendo, Sarah stands, caught between salvation and doom. Which path will she choose? The world around Sarah bends, the air thick and damp with despair. The whisper, so sweet yet so sinister, drips from the shadows, curling around her thoughts. Join us, it feels like a promise wrapped in a threat. Her breath quickens, fear clawing at her throat, choking off her resolve. Mia. Sarah's voice echoes through the void, desperation driving each syllable. Her heart races in her chest, pulsating like a warning bell. Around her, the two men, faces twisted in uncertainty, exchange glances, but they are shadows of their former selves, cracked reflections of courage now overshadowed by fear. Stay back. She shouts, watching the younger man step further toward the gloom. Each inch he takes feels like a slow, agonizing betrayal. You don't know what it is. Mia's in there. He yells back, but it's a weak sentiment tethered to a fraying line of sanity. A haunting sigh escapes from the darkness in response, a breath like the touch of cold fingers against flesh. No. Sarah tries to grab his arm, but the shadows are already shifting, a carousel of black curling around her. Panic floods her mind as she fights against the force tugging her away. She lashes out, trying to pull him back, but her grasp slips through the unnatural haze. With every second, dread stretches taut like a bowstring. The music box has slipped into an urgent tempo, chilling her to the bone. It thrums, a malevolent heartbeat echoing through the oppressive silence as it syncs with the pulse of the shadows around them. "Get out!" She screams again, but the command feels futile. Each word dissolves in the air, swallowed by swirling darkness. The laughter returns, close and mocking, echoing off the walls that seem to pulsate with untold horrors, each throb revealing the presence of something ancient and unyielding. "Stop! Don't!" The older man grabs at the younger, horror etched on his face. "We don't know what we're dealing with." At that moment, the shadows lunge, stretching toward them with twitching hands formed from the very essence of despair. Tendrils writhe, eager, hungry for life, and they plunge into the light with insatiable greed. "No! No! Mia!" Sarah's world narrows to that single name, a mantra against the encroaching darkness. She feels the icy tendrils grasp her ankles, dragging her down. An overwhelming instinct to survive battles inside her, a desperate plea to save her daughter, but the more she fights, the deeper she sinks. The two men are quickly engulfed, their screams rising and falling like a desperate tide, while shadows pull Sarah toward that abyss where laughter morphs into panic, a dark symphony climaxing into frenzy. "Mia!" She calls out again, but her own voice sounds foreign now, echoing back in twisted tones. The shadows shift, revealing faces obscured by darkness, mocking her. Each visage grins wide, as if trapping the very essence of lost souls within. Suddenly, a flash of figure, small and childlike, darting through the shadows. "Mommy?" The sweet voice cuts through the chaos cleanly, but it's riddled with something uncanny, an echo twisted by fear. "Mia!" Hope ignites, flaring bright against the darkness. But the faces contort in disgust, laughter rippling through the air. "You shouldn't have come here." The darkness swells, ready to reclaim what it deems its own. "Mommy!" The cry shatters Sarah's heart. It's south, too close, too tangible, like thorns digging deeper into her flesh. "No! I won't abandon you." With every ounce of her strength, she lunges toward that fleeting figure, but the darkness pulls her back as if it has a life of its own, a predator sharpening for the kill. As she struggles, the shadows press in, the coldness biting deeper. "Join us," the voices weave together, a chorus promising reunion but steeped in malice. The air thickens, she can almost taste the fear mixed with something sour and unearthly. In that moment, Sarah knows choosing Mia might cost everything. She glances back at the two men, their faces lost to the shadows, now just echoes of her past in a nightmare. In this moment of reckoning, Sarah stares into the abyss, the darkness swirling around her, promising a world lit with false light and warped laughter. "What will you sacrifice?" it asks, pulling her, pushing her to make a choice, fight for what's left or yield to the depths, and as she stands teetering on the edge of that dark void, Sarah's last thread of hope quivers. Will she give in, or will she find a way to fight back against the dark? The world around Sarah blurs, shapes twisting and reshaping in her fevered mind. Darkness slithers closer, its icy tendrils creeping up her legs, wrapping tighter with every heartbeat. "Mia!" She screams, a sound lost to the ever-deepening void. The shadows still whisper, "Join us," and in those words, she hears not just a call but a taunt. With a primal force, Sarah fights back, digging her fingers into the ground as if it could hold her. Every instinct screams to break free, yet all that seems to await her is the relentless pull of the dark. "Mommy!" The voice echoes again, wavering, tinged with an anguish that slices through the noise. It draws her like a moth to flame. "Mia!" The name lands like a desperate prayer. The darkness quakes, momentarily stilling in curiosity. But the relenting silence is short-lived. A cacophony of laughter erupts deep, growling, sinister, and the shadows warp, bending her vision grotesquely. She can see faces now, the features grotesquely stretched, their smiles too wide, teeth like daggers glistening in the gloom. The young man's scream slices through the laughter, raw and jagged. Sarah! It's too late. The darkness tightens around her, compressing, squeezing the air until it burns in her lungs. She looks back and sees only chaos, the older man fighting, trying to wrestle free from the grasping dark. A part of her wants to turn away to distance herself from the inevitable doom. But another part, the one that still holds hope, knows she must resist, must fight for Mia. Mia! She cries again, determination flaring like a beacon as she pushes against the unseen force. The shadows falter, inching away. If she can just buy herself a moment, just a breath of time, maybe she can find her daughter. The room contracts and expands, swallowing her pleas. For every foot she gains, the darkness ripples with discontent, echoing threats, echoes of her own failures, memories steeped in sorrow and loss. You let her go, the shadows hiss, winding their way through her heart. You could have saved her. No. Sarah gasps, her chest heaving. I will find her. She yanks her legs free, the weight of despair loosening its grip. The laughter morphs, sharper, slicing through the pretense. It turns into a wailing shriek, a choir of souls spiraling into madness. Join us, they sing, and with a terrifying pull, the shadows seize the two men, dragging them violently into the depths, their last moments flashing like dying candles in her mind. Their screams puncture the space, echoing like death knells. Suddenly, flickers of light pierce the gloom. Could it be a sliver of hope, or an even darker trap? Mommy! The cry reverberates, so close, so painfully close that it ignites a surge of adrenaline. Hold on, Mia. I'm coming. She steels herself, lunging forward, desperate, shoving aside the fear clawing at her insides. Shadows recoil at her intention, drawing back like waves meeting a formidable shore. Then, a chill, sharper than any blade, rushes past her. The air thrums, quaking as dark silhouettes press in, eager, grasping. The laughter transforms again, now more sinister, as the echoes of the two men's cries fade into the darkness, leaving only an oppressive silence. Her heartbeat drums in her ears, a countdown against time that she cannot afford to lose. But hovering around her is a growing dread, what will be waiting behind her next choice. Before she can answer, the darkness shifts, condensing into a single entity. A face materializes from the shadows, one familiar yet twisted, Mia's face, but marred by anguish and despair. Mommy, the voice drips with confusion, laced with a terrible edge, the childlike innocence replaced by something darker. Sarah, you must choose. The shadowed figure beckons, its fingers extending like twisted branches, clawing at her soul. Her breath hitches in her throat as she grapples with the growing terror. The ultimate price lurks ahead, ready to be paid. Will you forsake what you love? As her heart races, Sarah knows the choice she faces may engulf not just her, but everything she holds dear. And she wonders, what truly waits on the other side of sacrifice? In that moment of frozen horror, she hears it again, a whisper unfurling through the dark like a deceptive wind. Join us. Does she dare to take that step? The darkness thrummed with a life of its own, pulsating, hungry. Chilled fingers of shadowed despair danced along Sarah's skin as she stared at the unmistakable figure of her daughter. Her heart slammed against her ribs, the familiar beat now a painful drum echoing her panic. Mia? Words slipped from her lips, soft and trembling. The child's face bore a haunting resemblance to the little girl she knew, yet the sinister twist in her voice sent icy dread straight down Sarah's spine. Mama, they want you. Mia's eyes, once bright with innocence, now held vast emptiness, a void that stole warmth from her gaze. The shadows crowded around her daughter, warping her small frame, merging with the darkness in an empty embrace. Get away from her! Sarah shouted, fists clenching tight. But her words melted into the oppressive gloom, swallowed whole by mocking laughter. It felt like a heartless symphony, serenading the hollowed-out version of her child. "Mama, help me please," Mia begged, reaching out with her tiny hand, fingertips brushing against the cold edge of the shadow. Each plea twisted like a knife, and with every second, Sarah felt herself unraveling, threads of determination slipping through her fingers. "Join us." The deeper voice of the darkness coiled around her like a sinister fog, emanating with a seductive promise. "You can't save her, you know it. But you can be with her forever. Stop." The word thundered from her throat like a last stand. She pulled against the deepening shroud, the urge to flee battling with her desperation to hold on to something familiar amidst the suffocating dark. Sarah's breath came in shuddering gasps as she tried to find the strength to reject the horror, but darkness is a master of deceit. In its whispers, it brought echoes of times gone by, moments of laughter, joy, and those first hesitant steps Mia had taken. The memories gripped Sarah's heart, tugging her closer to the precipice of surrender. "You chose to run," it hissed, "you chose yourself when she needed you. Now it's your turn to join at last." "No." Her voice cracked as she hesitated, the weight of her past failures bearing down. "I won't abandon you. Not now, not ever." The shadows writhed with satisfaction, closing in until they surrounded her like a suffocating cocoon. Fear coursed through her veins, igniting desperation in her heart. Sarah squeezed her eyes shut, the darkness pushing against the very fabric of her will. She concentrated on the flicker of warmth that remembered a simpler time, her daughter laughing in the sun. "Mia." Her voice pierced again, focusing on that flickering memory. "I love you. Hold on." She willed the image of her daughter into existence, not the twisted form the shadows offered but the real Mia, full of life and laughter. The dark shrieked, the sound an angry wind howling through the night. Shadows shredded around her as Sarah lunged for her daughter. She could feel the weight of despair holding her back, pulling her down, but the image of Mia blurred through the dark, crystal clear, and she would not let go. "Mommy!" The cry sounded again, this time clearer, more real, saturating the air with hope, but just as she grasped at that untouchable light, the darkness coiled tighter. "Your love is nothing. You cannot claim what has already been forsaken." A towering shadow lunged, a monstrous silhouette erupting from the ground before her, an amalgamation of all her fears, every ghost whispered in agony. It loomed over her, spreading terror that gnawed at her soul. The air grew cold, her heart racing wildly as she felt a sickening sense of vertigo. "Mia!" The voice of her daughter broke through the cacophony, trembling in the void. "Mommy! Help me!" Everything blurred into chaos, the shadows thrashing around her, laughter morphing into screams. With every ounce of energy left, she thrust forward, ready to take the final plunge. Would she plunge into darkness or pull her daughter back into light? As she charged towards the silhouette, the words echoed like molten iron in the air, "Choose, Sarah. Forsake your love or lose her forever." And just like that, she dove deeper into the abyss, caught between love and the terrible unknown. What had she unleashed? The plunge felt endless, as if the very fabric of the abyss sought to consume her whole. Sarah couldn't tell where the ground ended and the darkness began. She squeezed her eyes shut, the screaming shadows rattling around her like a dozen ghosts trapped in the dim. Desperation clawed at her throat, but she kept Mia's face locked in her mind. "Mama! Please!" Mia's voice rang out, a chime of innocence against the cacophony of dread, hitting Sarah like a glimmer of sunlight piercing through storm clouds. The swirling mass thickened like a tempest, pulling at her limbs, each shadow a tether to despair. Sarah searched for her daughter, the warmth of her love a flickering candle in an endless night. "Stay with me, Mia!" she screamed, forcing her limbs to reach through the thickening murk. She could almost feel the texture of the light she was chasing, a radiant glow weaving in and out of reach. "Join us!" the voice taunted again. It called out with a guttural growl, echoing in the darkness. "You cannot save her. You have lost her. Relinquish yourself to the void, and you will find peace." "No!" she howled, the word blending into a primal roar as her fingers grasped at the shadows. "I won't lose her. Not to you. Fighting back with renewed vigor, she pressed forward, the haunting mangles of laughter wrestling tortured memories from her mind. Terror swirling like a tornado. Suddenly, she broke free, tumbling into clarity. The chaotic roar transformed into silence, a crushing, oppressive solitude. She landed hard on cold earth, the impact sending a shockwave through her body. Dazed, she blinked, cleaning the haze from her vision. Mia stood several feet away, the darkness curling like smoke around her, the shadows teasing at her edges but not wrapping around her. The little girl looked unscathed, yet her eyes remained hollow, reflecting an abyss deeper than the one Sarah had just crossed. "Mama?" Mia's small voice trembled once more, hope hovering on the fragile edges of paranoia. "I thought you wouldn't come." Every instinct in Sarah screamed for her daughter, yet a chill coiled around her heart. She surged forward, arms extending. "Stop." The shadow lurked, hissing through the silence, its voice dripping with malice. "This is your last chance, Sarah. Come take your rightful place among us or let her remain forever lost." Sarah hesitated, her slow-motion approach laced with uncertainty. "What do you mean?" She clutched her stomach, the sense of dread tightening. "Your love, it is too weak against what you have unleashed." The shadow's laughter wrapped around her, slicing through hope. "Despair, your greatest ally now, little moth. Do you wish to cling to it?" "No." Sarah's voice shattered through her fear. "I refuse." She looked at Mia, forcing warmth into her expression. "I love you, Mia. I'm here. No shadows will take you." A flash burst from Mia's eyes, flickers of recognition that shimmered like stars bursting through the dark. Suddenly, the immense shadow stretched forth, its form shifting, writhing. In that moment, a sharp howl erupted, as if someone was torn apart, the very air crackled with unspeakable energy. Amidst the chaos, Sarah reached desperately toward Mia. "Come to me. We can break this together." The haunting eyes of her daughter sparked moments of life beneath the shadow's grip, a thread of possibility glowing between them, but just as she reached her, everything stilled. The shadows paused, freezing the chaos like a snapshot in time. Time stretched, and in that momentary silence between heartbeats, a feeling of dread washed over Sarah. This was not over, and then it came, a whisper just for her: "You cannot fight what is destined. Your choice is before you, luminance or oblivion." Then, the world splintered. A blinding light exploded all around her, shattering the silence, enveloping them both. When Sarah opened her eyes again, the landscape had changed entirely. No shadows, only fields of crumpled fog and the faint wails of unheard cries. "Mama?" Mia's frightened voice reached out across the expanse. Whispers flitted on the edges of the air, tales of the lost and found surrounding them, but where were they now? And what had they truly escaped? The next choice loomed nearer, darker than before. "Mama!" Mia's voice barely cut through the heavy fog that surrounded them, a spectral echo tinged with fear. The eerie quiet felt like a suffocating blanket, wrapping tightly around Sarah and her daughter. "Mia, stay close to me," Sarah urged, her heart racing. She took a step forward, the ground beneath her feeling slick and unstable, like walking on ice. Each squelch of her feet brought thoughts of the unknown flooding back. Where were they? Was this another trap? The air felt charged, a silent threat hovering just beyond her sight. In their wake, low murmurs began to grow. The voices were distant yet intimate, like whispers of long-dead souls trapped in purgatory. Lost, forgotten, they crooned, curling around her like serpents. Sarah shook her head, trying to push them away. "Stop it. You can't take us." But the fog thickened, wrapping around her like tendrils of black smoke, ghostly hands that seemed to grasp at her resolve. She spun, searching for direction. It was maddening, every angle revealed only more of the same desolation, as if the fog itself was alive and shifting. "Mama, I see something." Mia pointed through the mist, her eyes wide with wonder and terror. Sarah followed her gaze, squinting against the shadows creeping in. There, at the edge of the fog, was a street lamp flickering desperately, light struggling to push back the darkness. It might be a way out. Sarah grabbed Mia's hand, feeling the little girl's excitement mix with fear. With each hurried step, the whispers grew louder, more chaotic, echoing in a haunting symphony. "Come back. Join us." The voices grew more insistent, clawing at Sarah's mind, dredging up every moment of fear and sorrow she had ever felt. "Mama." Mia's voice cracked, pulling Sarah from her torment. The light flickered more violently now, casting bizarre shadows that danced and leered at them. "We have to go back," Mia cried. "No. We're almost there. We can't go back." Sarah pressed on, her grip tightening around her daughter's small hand. As they neared the lamp, an odd sensation washed over her, an urge to turn back, to succumb to the whispers, to battle against the nagging doubt that whispered of her failures. Just as they reached the pool of light, it flickered violently before extinguishing, plunging them back into deeper darkness. Panic coursed through Sarah, mixed with fierce determination. "Stay close, Mia." She breathed heavily, letting the adrenaline flood through her. But the shadows seemed alive, engulfing them as the whispers crescendoed into malevolent laughter. "Mama, I can't see." Mia's fear cut through her, sharper than the shadows surrounding them. Sarah turned to reassure her when a figure began to materialize from the fog. It was indistinct at first, amorphous, claw-like hands stretching toward them, grinning with jagged teeth. "Mama," Mia whimpered, and Sarah felt dread choke her throat. "Run!" she shouted, pushing her daughter ahead of her. The figure lunged, darkness radiating from it like molten tar. It reached for Sarah, fingers stretching impossibly long, brushing against her arm. A searing pain shot up her skin, igniting pure terror within her. "Mia, keep moving." As they fled, Sarah could feel the weight of despair clinging to her like a leaden cloak. Every step felt like an eternity, the flooding whispers now mocking her resolve. "You'll never escape. You've already lost." The shadows seeped into her mind, drowning every glimmer of hope. But then, again, Sarah sensed something. A pulse of light behind the haze, a different kind of energy, maybe a way out. Could it be real? "Mama." Mia's small voice broke through again, tugging her focus back to the present. "Follow me." Sarah yelled, fear igniting within her as she propelled herself forward. Hope and dread intertwined within her, the air crackling with tension as they sprinted toward the light that beckoned them like a siren's song. As they burst through the fog, a sudden silence enveloped them. They stood in an eerie clearing, a massive oak tree looming above, its bark twisted like faces frozen in agony. "Mama, we shouldn't be here." Mia tugged at her sleeve, eyes wide. In front of them lay a path, winding away into further darkness. And at the end, just beyond the fringes of sight, flickered multiple shadows. "Which way do we go?" Sarah's mind raced, and every instinct warned her. A choice waited ahead, one not just about direction but fate. What horrors awaited them next? Would they become another tale, swallowed by the very darkness they ran from? "Mama?" The flickering shadows whispered promises and threats, and Sarah understood then the fight was far from over. What would they face beyond the darkness? What awaited them in the twisted path ahead? The whispers of the shadows swirled around Sarah, and her heart pounded like a war drum. "We can't stop. We have to keep moving, Mia." With a firm grip on her daughter's hand, she pressed forward, the twisted oak tree looming ominously over them like a watchful guardian of nightmares. Each crack of a branch, each rustle of leaves sent shivers racing down Sarah's spine, but she couldn't show fear. Not now. Mia looked up with wide, innocent eyes, the light of her soul flickering like a candle fighting against the wind. "But, Mommy, what if we don't find the way out? What if we can't leave?" The panic in Mia's voice twisted Sarah's insides. Each question felt like a churning wave, threatening to drown them both. She knelt, gazing into her daughter's eyes, determination hardening her resolve. We will find a way. I promise you, Mia. No darkness can keep us apart. The path twisted ahead, dark and menacing. Shadows danced ahead, twisting into shapes that felt almost familiar but were utterly wrong. Sarah steeled herself, forcing confidence into her tone. Let's pick a direction. We need to trust our instincts. Following the narrow path, they became tangled in the murmur of lost souls. Each step deeper into the woods was like venturing through a haunted dream, each twig snapping underfoot an echo of the past. The laughter of the shadows haunted them, clawing at her mind with images of families lost, of faces merged in despair. "Mama, I can hear them," Mia said softly, her gaze drifting into the darkness. "Don't listen to them, honey," Sarah urged. "It's only the shadows trying to trick us." She felt the thickening air below her skin, the suffocating grip of despair. But a spark of hope flickered. They had faced the abyss together and emerged. They would fight together until the very end. Suddenly, the shadows rippled ahead, and from the depths came a figure. Sarah's stomach dropped. It took form, a twisted version of Mr. Thompson, his face hauntingly familiar but warped with malice. "Sarah, come join us," he beckoned, his hand long and tapering extending, urging her to step forward. "No!" Sarah shouted, shielding Mia with her body. "You aren't him. You're just a shadow." The figure warped, laughter ringing hollow in the air. "You cannot escape. The darkness hungers, it will never let you go." Just as the shadows lunged, the air crackled, and a surge of light erupted before them. A staff, glowing like the sun, appeared, illuminating everything in its path. Sarah turned to see the familiar silhouette of the two men, hunter and protector, who had entered the community center before. Their faces shone with fierce determination, urging her on. "Over here. We can help. Mommy." Mia squealed, scrambling toward them. With a surge of adrenaline, Sarah raced toward the light, her heart pounding like thunder. "Mia, don't look back. Keep moving." She felt the darkness claw at her heels, but they burst into the beam of light, where shadows shrank away, tremors of fear rising from the phantom depths. "Mia!" One of the men shouted, arms outstretched. "We're here. Keep close." As the shadows writhed and twisted in frustration, Sarah grabbed Mia tightly, relief washing over her in waves. They were safe for now, but even as they caught their breath, dread washed over them like a cold wave. "What now?" asked one of the figures. "We can't stay here. The darkness will find us. We have to cleanse the curse." "The curse?" Mia murmured, squinting. "Mommy, what's that?" Sarah knelt to her daughter's eye level. "It's the thing that stole everyone, sweet girl, but we're going to end this together." Nodding fiercely, determination sparked in Mia's gaze. "Yeah. We gotta fight back." The ground trembled beneath their feet, and a luminous doorway slowly formed ahead. Hope surged in Sarah's heart. "That way. We can feel its pull." With a collective resolve, they sprinted toward the door, each step infused with purpose. The anguished cries of the shadows echoed, but in the light, they felt invincible. They burst through the doorway into a lush, sunlit meadow, a stark contrast against the darkness they had just escaped. Flowers bloomed in wild colors, humming with life. But lingering on the air was a weight, scribed in hidden warnings. "Where are we?" Mia asked, mesmerized. "Somewhere we can reclaim what's lost," one of the men replied. "We must confront our fears. The only way forward is through. No more shadows," Sarah declared, stepping forward, resolved to face the darkness lurking within. With renewed strength, the environment shifted around them, blurring into a reflection of their deepest regrets, but not without a glimmer of truth and love. "Mommy!" Mia called out, and Sarah turned, seeing her daughter standing confidently at the center of the meadow, the soft light radiating from her. "Together, right?" "Yes, together," Sarah confirmed, her voice unwavering. As shadows bled into the corners of her mind, fear began to unfurl as courage solidified. They could challenge the sinister voices, reclaim the love and memories that bound them. "Let's end this," Sarah whispered, intertwined with Mia, the two faces mirrored against the darkness of their past. With a chant of love, they summoned light with their hands raised high, affirming their bond unwavering. "We will not join you. We own our fates." In that moment, the sinister howl of the shadows peaked, a wail reverberating through the universe before fading and thinning away into a cosmic void, banished by the brilliance of their united hearts. As the last remnants evaporated, Sarah held Mia closer, and the weight of grief lifted. They had faced the shadows, emerged victorious. Home, Mia breathed, and in that instant, warmth enveloped them, like a soft embrace under starlit skies. Their sanctuary awaited, a promise fulfilled, a family reclaimed. Walking through that shimmering doorway, Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of renewal, of healing. She would always carry the story of the shadows with her, but now it was a part of her strength, a reminder of what they had overcome together. Together, they stepped into the light, leaving the past behind, ready for whatever came next. Don't miss the next chapter of this journey. You need to subscribe now to stay updated with our latest stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about this hair-raising conclusion, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Your support makes a difference and ensures our community grows stronger.